And good evening, everyone. This is Toyin Umesiri. Feel free to call me Coach Toyin. And with me is Pastor Cornelius. Pastor, welcome again to the game plan. Please go ahead
Thank,
and introduce yourself. I know that we had a session on Monday, but for those who missed Monday's session, please just go ahead and reintroduce yourself as well. Thank you and welcome.
thank you, Coach Tolan, again. Cornelius Hill, pastor, teacher, a counselor, coach, radio podcaster. I wear a plethora of hats. A pastor of the Ephesian Primitive Baptist Church here in Nashville, Tennessee. The address is 1506 22nd Avenue North, Nashville, Tennessee, 37208. Excited always to be under your tutelage as your mentee. I say mentee. You've opened up so many opportunities of awareness and made everything much more clear or clearer in my own personal and professional path. And because of our relationships, I've entered into relationships that have even greater influence and impact. So I'm
Oh,
grateful to be here.
Oh, such an honor. And every time you give your testimonies, I just feel like, oh, wow, amazing. And I know there's so much more ahead of you for sure. So, Pastor, do you want to quickly? I'm going to put you on spot. On Monday, we went through module one,
hmm
activate the power of clarity. So, the
hmm
game plan is a 3 hour program plus workbook in my academy. But what we're doing today is just doing a live coaching session and we're discussing each module. So from the first session on activate the power of clarity, do you just want to give quick highlight from your perspective? Thank you so much.
Yes, one of the things I would love to highlight is the word activate. It's not passive. You have to give yourself permission to activate. And without giving yourself the permission to activate, you will never activate. Activate is what you do,
Mhm.
anointing is what God does. We can't manufacture the anointing, but the activation is on our part. I'm reminded of a man who was at the pool for 38 years. He had to do the activating. And because of the activating the power of clarity, once we start walking in the clarity of it, it produces its own power. So I'm grateful that I have somewhat condensed my mission statement in life. But even in me condensing it, it has more power and it's much
Mm,
more clear.
mhm.
And I'm able to execute at so many other levels and provide influence in so many other arenas because I have activated the power of clarity. I hope that
Amazing.
answered your
I
question.
love it. And also, precision actually requires clarity, right? To be
Mhm.
precise. So let's say you have a target, a goal, a mission, right? You have to be able to see clearly for you to hit that target. So even in archery, right? If you're unclear, you're shooting everywhere. You're trying different things. Whereas the target, right, to be able to aim straight and shoot straight and hit the target and reach our goals, clarity helps us also on that journey. Is that where am I? Where's the destination? Right? Awareness, perspective. What's the gap? Right? Because this activating the power of clarity also propels us forward, right? Is that most times people stay in one spot because there's no clarity in terms of what's the next step I need to take, right? Direction, instruction, guide. But clarity within ourselves of desire, ambition, right? Intentionality, all of these things within us propels us because all of a sudden we start attracting the things that we need. Once you're clear with what you want, once you're clear with what you want, right, you will begin to attract the things you need, right? It's like once you say you're going to California, you can now go to Google Maps to find direction. But if you're not clear in terms of what am I going after next? So for example, 2022, what do I want to accomplish? 2023, what am I going after? That clarity, the moment you can actually be clear in terms of your intention, the next step is what do I need? to get there. And this is the same principles that architects, right,
Mhm.
perform, is that you don't break ground if you're not clear what this building, what are we building here? Right. So thank you so much. And today we are diving into module 2 of my program. And I love this one. Adopt the mindset of a champion. It's a strategy.
Looking at it. Yes.
Yes. Why this is so important is that you win in your mind first. You complete the task first in your mind before you show up to attempt to actually create in reality. So one of the things I say is, if I want something in my mind, I'm going to get it. I already got it. And part of that mindset is also the willingness to do the work to get it. Right? So just dreaming about everything that you want in life, it's not adopting the mindset of a champion, because champion also enroll in the process to win. They prepare, they practice, they will do the work necessary to discipline themselves for them to strengthen, right, their capacity to go into the ring and fight. You don't show up into the ring with Mike Tyson. Pastor, let me get your reaction. Don't show up without preparation.
Well, that's the thing. It wasn't clear in your mind. If it was clear in your mind, I'm almost thinking the champion mindset. Champions don't practice to lose.
No.
Champions practice to win. One of the things they talked about Michael Jordan in his grandiose glory was the way he practiced, the way he executed daily, which is part of a strategy. And he could play basketball for 12 hours straight, nonstop. He would play all day, all night. Therefore, when it came time to perform that which he was perfecting, it wasn't a problem. He became a champion. Tom Brady, Larry Bird, LeBron James, when you start dealing with champions, Tiger Woods, they didn't show up on the day a winner. They were winning 5 years ago,
Mhm.
7 years ago, 15 years ago. They practice as champions. And a lot of times in the game plan of life, we don't have an idea of how we want to practice and really what we want to execute. Therefore, the mindset of a champion is very minimal and limited because
Mm.
our personal behaviors.
Ooh, you talked about it. Personal behavior. So how would you describe the general personal behavior?
It's interesting that you asked that question because I do my daily show and people can follow me, Cornelius Hill, on Facebook. A lot of people, I even talked about it this morning. I said it's interesting that children, when we were children, we had a great imagination.
Mm.
We could take little things, we could take minor things and make something major out of it. We had the mindset to be creative and we want what we thought it became a reality.
Mm.
Playing with stick men, playing with dirt, playing with just ball. We would create so many things. And the reality was created here. That mindset of a champion was created here. But as we go through life, going back to Monday, that nurture, the cat was awakened in me. The older I got, when I started experiencing, I guess, negativity, disappointment, setback, and just being around people who did not have the mindset to be champions. So I awakened the default
Mm.
in me rather than waken the creativity in me to make sure that I stayed on track with the mindset that I had so that I could have that clarity in my life and anybody's life. You're just not me. I see a lot of people who don't have purpose because they don't have the mindset of a champion. Or listen, they don't have not only the mindset, they don't have the work ethic.
Mm. That's incredible. When you also talked about, as when we were kids, it made me think in my mind, the distance between your thoughts and your actions, right? The distance between our thoughts and our actions,
Thoughts and actions.
right? What you want in your mind, what you want to achieve, and when you're ready to do something about it, right? Kids don't have that interference in the middle. If they want something, they will go out and immediately they do it. There's nothing in between that tells them they cannot have it.
You just said something. They don't have the interference.
Yes.
The distance between our thoughts. That's what you said, right?
Right.
That distance, let me get in the camera. In between,
Right.
when you remove this interference. See, if you never remove the interference between the distance,
There's a gap.
that gap, the gap is okay. There's nothing wrong with the gap. It's just what's in between the gap. If there's interference in that gap, then that mindset will never shift. That mindset will never be awakened. That
Right.
mindset will never come alive. And if you're going to execute in life, in any area of your life, you're going to have to deal with this interference in the middle.
Right. And what's also happening is, I think things are happening in reverse, right? Because it's also back to the sense of possibility. Education is supposed to enlighten us to greater sense of possibilities than a child. Like a child doesn't know as much as you do. But could it then be the types of education where we're being immersing ourselves with that is actually the issue and the problem? Right? Could it be because things are happening in reverse, because more knowledge, more education should propel us forward to action? Or should I say the right type of knowledge, the right type of information, like the times we spent in school? Think about how many years we spent acquiring education. That education, if it were designed appropriately, it should be unleashing our sense of possibilities, not diminishing it. Right? So the exposure that we have to certain elements, right, could either propel us to greater or less, right? So that's where it's not possible. Oh, nobody has ever done it. Oh, all of that is doing greater damage. Whereas the people that end up being successful, right, they guarantee their success by immersing themselves, right, in places where there is sense of possibility, right? Because the moment you lose that, right, you're not
That's
going to
good.
go out there, you're not going to fight. If you know you've lost, if you think you've lost the game, if you think the game is rigged in the other person's favor, if you think your opponent is stronger, if you think the other team, right, is better prepared, you've already lost and you will lose. Once you've lost in your mind, Pastor, there's nothing else anybody can do.
Right. You said so many things. I'm trying. The educational system was designed initially
Mm,
to create a workforce.
yes.
Listen, it's political, and we have to be very careful how we word this.
Yes, yes, yes.
But when you have a system in place, watch this, that was designed to keep you mediocre,
Mm, mm,
and you buy into that system, and not saying that it was a bad system or it's bad system, but the educational system wasn't designed to really make you become a creative thinker.
mm-hmm.
It was designed. See, that's the thing. People talk about education. When you study the history of America, it was designed to make you go to work for
Yes.
somebody who's already won.
Mm, mm. Right.
That's what education was designed to do initially, just to create a worker. We need
Mm-hmm.
good workers for the people who've already designed winning for themselves and their
Mm-hmm.
family. So we need this other class of people, which are good people, which I represent that class. I love that class that will come in and work for us
Mm-hmm.
because I'm going to do the thinking. and they're going to do the working.
Mhm.
So
And they do. Yes.
you look at the mindset of the 2 or 3 or 4 individuals and say, okay, why is education not producing thinkers? I'm not convinced. And as a teacher, I'm convinced that we try to teach critical thinking and executive functioning, which we should be talking about, and we'll talk about that later. But when you put us in a system in place that is designed to make you to keep you in the middle, to keep you surrounded by the interference, so you
Mhm.
can't have that mindset. That's
Right.
why people have this I'm gonna say negative uh, idea around education, because you think it's supposed to do one thing, and really the system was designed to make a worker, not so much a
Right. Right. Oh my. Okay. Let's
thinker.
break this down. This is important, very, very important. And thank you to those joining. Do let us know where you're joining from. Drop a comment. And if anything we're saying resonates with you, please do share that as well. Would really love to hear your thoughts. So, you said something that is incredible, right? Where those who have already created solutions needed workers, right? So the idea is formed, the enterprise is structured, but we need workers, and workers need specific skills.
Mhm,
And the skills required to run that enterprise is actually how the traditional Western education is
mhm,
designed. It's designed to create workers with specific skills that the enterprise can absorb. But what we are talking about, so back to my definition of entrepreneurship, right? It's unleashing creativity, is the highest expression of human creativity and productivity, highest expression, right? Be fruitful, multiply, right? Replenish the earth to the highest capacity that is possible for you. What then happens is, where do you play in that pyramid, right? The question is, for you to unleash the highest expression of yourself, where does that fit in? Where does your maximum creativity and productivity, if you're going to maximize all of your capacity, where do you fit in that pyramid? Do you fit in as the initiator, visionary, architect of designing enterprises? Do you fit in into the management of those enterprises? Or do you fit in into specific tangible skills at the grassroots? Because all three are needed. They're
yes.
necessary. I think the key and what is important is, when those who belong in the visionary vehicle have been conditioned into the grassroots frontline workers, the frustration they now feel, they've not been prepared or trained to function in the highest, truest expression of themselves,
Slow
right?
down. They have not been trained to be performed at the highest expression of themselves.
They've not been trained, because for you to be a visionary, an architect of your own dreams, of taking on the responsibility of taking the hopes, ideas that God, the raw passion, the raw desires, the hopes and dreams that God immerses in your heart, the capacity and the ability, okay, to translate that into reality. This is a function of every child of God, right? We are to create. That's why it says, be fruitful. We are to bear certain fruits, and then we are to produce certain fruits. We are to replenish the earth with that fruit. We are to dominate. We are to win. That is how it was in the beginning. In the scriptures, Jesus said, in the beginning, it wasn't so. Everything we described in terms of the enterprise is what what we've designed, how we've designed the world to function. But the error now, this is where the personal responsibility lies on the individual, is you've been born into the matrix. You've been conditioned to function within the matrix, right? And all the story around you is about the matrix. The key is, there's another life outside of the matrix you've not been conditioned, trained, or prepared for, that may be more aligned with the hopes and dreams God has for you. What do you do with that, Pastor?
Loaded thought. We
Let's break it
can't,
down.
yeah, to unpack all of that. Talking about living at the highest form of yourself.
Yes.
For me, as a believer, Christian, many generations, I don't think that can even that can even happen if you don't know how you've been endowed by your creator. See, one of the things that made Jesus was he lived at the top of his higher self. He always stayed in that era.
Mm,
Excuse me.
bless
So he
you.
did not have to ever descend to the thought of man. Even on the cross, he didn't have to. He knew even if he wanted to come down, he didn't come down because he knew living at the highest realm of himself, his self-awareness, his mindset wouldn't let him come down. So if you don't know the pedigree, if you will allow me to use that term, if you don't know the pedigree, your DNA, if you don't know how you've been wired and manufactured spiritually, living at that highest form, having that mindset of a champion, you will never achieve that. And that's not to say you cannot be at the skilled
Mm,
labor, the management level, or that level of aristocracy. We'll call it that. You
mhm,
know, I will use the Queen of England. God bless
mm,
her soul. She lived at that level of
mm.
aristocracy,
And she never came down.
and she never came down. Never. But for me, you who are climbing the ladder and we never understand living at that level
Mm-hmm,
of the highest sense of self,
mm-hmm.
we will miss the daily execution and the fierce execution. We will miss the power of clarity. We will miss so many things because we have not learned to live at the highest sense of self. And that's where I believe biblical teaching and the religious faith-based community for me played a major part in me being fashioned. Paul says this, and I throw it back to you. When I was a child, I thought,
Like a
I
child.
spake, but when I became a man, the highest sense of self, I had to put away some childish things. And don't get me don't misquote me. We talked about the childlikeness, the innocence of creativity, but now Paul knows when he got to his higher sense of self, he had to make sure his mindset shifted.
Yes. Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. Yes. Oh my, that is incredible. One thing I want to call out is this fact that living the highest, fullest expression of yourself also requires us to live in reality. And in reality, there will be reasons that will want to pull you down. And I'll give example, we use Jesus as an example, right? Where his parents were like, come. And he's like, no, I'm about my father's business. So, to your point, if you don't know what that business is, what you're supposed to be tending to, what you're supposed to be paying attention to, what you're supposed to be creating, the impact you're supposed to be having in the world, you're stuck in the matrix. And that matrix looks like expectation of man, nature, nurture, culture, right? So many people are now tied up in that matrix of nature, nurture, culture, and they've abandoned the ultimate call on their life. Yes,
Abandon.
abandoned um thinking again by conditioning, thinking that making other people happy, meeting the expectations of everything out here, that may not be the same thing as meeting the expectation of your creator, pastor. You may be doing everything your congregation wants you to do to make them happy today. And unknowingly, you may be denying the call to higher. What do we do with that?
Well, before I answer, I like what Brother Kelly Keenan, he has a long post.
Yes.
Thank you, Brother Kelly Keenan. I want to follow you on LinkedIn. I would love for you to follow me as well as our other social media platforms so we can have dialogue with you as well. You automatically, by default, abandon the call on your life when you don't have clarity. And I know you're reading what he's saying,
Mm-hmm.
but
Say that
when you,
again, please.
yeah, when you do not have clarity,
Mm-hmm.
by default, you abandon the call
Hmm. Because
because you
you're sorry. Let
let me
me let
drive, let
me
me drive, let me
yes.
drive. Here it is.
I love it. We get each other, you and I.
Thank you. Welcome, Brother Kelly. I'm gonna follow you. When you don't have clarity, you by default abandon the call because the other steps that it takes for you to be successful, you
Mm-hmm.
either avoid, detour, or minimize. Because I am not walking in my higher sense of self.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, like Jesus was tempted, the
Mm-hmm.
first time somebody asked me to make a change, watch this, to make these stones into bread,
Mm-hmm.
I will do it because I'm
Mm.
not living at my higher sense of self.
Mm.
And when you don't have that power of clarity and living at your higher sense of self, change for convenience.
Wow.
You hear me?
Mm.
Change just to be for convenience
Mm.
becomes your number one mission, and you're driven by convenience rather than by character.
Mm. You live by reality, what you can see, touch, feel, versus what you can see in your mind, the vision. So is it living a blind life? When you have blind vision, you can see you, but you can see and feel. You live based on the external, not the internal blueprint of your life.
Thank you, Brother Kelly. He says change for convenience because you have no conviction.
Oh, that's incredible.
Did you hear this? Did you hear that sound?
I did. I did.
Okay,
I
I
think
got my.
everybody did as well. Thank you for that.
But see
Oh my.
the mindset of it. LeBron James is never going to go play professional soccer. That would not be activating the power of clarity in his life. Tiger Woods is not going to become a scuba diver professionally. That's not going to activate the power of clarity in his life.
Mm, mm,
When you abandon your assignment and you don't get the power of clarity and living at the highest sense of self, once again, you change everything around you to fit that immediate moment
mhm,
rather than succumbing to the conditions and working from conviction and
mhm,
character,
mhm,
which is forged in the mindset.
mm. Right. So, Pastor, one thing we need to also help people understand is the journey to this destination we're describing is
Mhm.
progressive, right? The path of the
It's
righteous
progressive.
shine brighter and brighter and brighter.
Mhm.
So the first thing to activate is to activate the destination, is to commit. In fact, module 3, I don't know if we should combine module 3 because
Let's go.
module
We
3
there.
is,
Just
yes,
ease it on in there.
yes, it's the commitment to an extraordinary life, right?
Where did the life begin?
And right, it's adopting the mindset of a champion is activating belief as well, believing in yourself and knowing that if you want something, it means it's available to you, but also not denying the work ethic required to win, right? I think that's why that module 2, that's why it's so important, is that If you want it, you can go get it. But please also understand the rigor, discipline, investment, time, commitment, investment to winning in life and telling yourself, I'm going to get it. Module 3, connecting module 3 to 1, 2, 3, right? Is if you don't commit to living an extraordinary life, because the hopes and dreams and aspirations that you want to create is bigger than the reality that you are conditioned for. Right? Back to the education. You've not been educated to live an extraordinary life. Can we say that, Pastor?
Correct. Not in the current system.
Right. So we have to. So now, when you commit to living an extraordinary life, it's also part of personal responsibility to re-educate, learn, unlearn, relearn, because now you want to break out. It's your attempt to go into the limitless possibility. There's a limit to what traditional education system can get you in life.
That's it.
Right? We have to understand that the BSCs, MS is fantastic, but they have limits. The Elon Musk of the world, they are not living based on the limits. In fact, they are living out of the matrix. They didn't finish education. Like the Bill Gates of the world, they broke out of those systems and they educated themselves in a different way, and they unleashed the limitless possibilities of their potential. They are living at their highest. They are pushing the dial. They are they are living at such a high vibration, a high level that the whole world, right, feels their vibration, feels their move, feels their audacity, feels their impact. The entire world know they exist. Not because of BSc or MSc or PhD.
That's right.
Right? Is that something else kicked in for them? They've activated a different type of education. It's self-education. The responsibility we all have to ourselves to train ourselves for success and not outsource it to another person or an institution.
Pause.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I'm with you.
Outsource.
Outsource.
That's what you just did. That's what we do when we don't live at a higher sense of self and we don't have the power of clarity. We outsource our thinking.
Ooh, yeah.
We outsource our ambitions. We outsource our desires to somebody who's tapped into the limitless, the unlimited. And then they become the source that we need to live a mediocre or a life in, because we outsourced our thinking. We awakened the cat rather than living still with the lion. Or even if we're with the lion or tiger, we've chosen the circus over the natural habitat.
Right.
So when you begin to outsource some of the things that you were doing, you will stop doing, because when you outsource, you draw a conclusion. And somewhere in the text it said, be careful where you draw conclusions, because where you draw conclusions, thinking stops.
It ends. Yes. And this is also understanding what's the ordinary life and what's the extraordinary life, right? Ordinary life is living the life that is accessible to everybody, that everybody's conditioned for, right? You've been prepared for that life. You've been trained for that life. You will succeed at that life. And it looks like you go to work, you get the income, you come back, you spend and consume everything else. It's a circle. You feed that system again. You go in, you give your hours, you get the money. The system then conditions you again. That money they just gave you, the system takes it back like that. The system is designed. as you're taking it, the bills are ready. The bills are ready to take it all. And
All back.
it's the circle of the system.
Right.
You work hard, and then you say, oh, I need promotion. Okay, promotion. Guess what? Bigger promotion, bigger house, bigger spend, bigger promotion, bigger car. Right? There's so much that will help you spend, right? So part of the so two things are working against what we're talking about. One, the condition to go in, right? And the condition to spend. None of those things unleashes productivity and creativity unless the job you are on, you feel fulfillment because you have a space where you can fully express yourself. But not everybody has that kind of job. Most of
Correct.
the job only wants a percentage, a specific skill, and no more. They don't want every part of you. And that's another frustration creative people feel, is that the job wants you to just do what you're hired to do, and whatever other capacity you have, it's not needed because you're going to disrupt the order that is in place for your company. It's only when you start going higher where creativity and your strategic thinking capacity is required to function. At the base, it's execution, right? Because I've served as a strategist before. So there's a design and a order that at the grassroots, at the base, we need less thinking. We just need mobilized army of doers, right? And then the thinking capacity of designing the sales planning, performance planning, where the company direction the company is taking is moved into a central function. You think, you decide, and you push it down. People execute. My point is that now that conditioning of earning, spending, that circle is what we're saying. It's the matrix. Well, for those who want to say God has given you the power to create wealth, it's a different game. It's
Right.
those who create wealth in the world, they are producers. They spend their money in unleashing productivity, not just on consumption.
Opportunities.
Right? In opportunities. So they will use their capacity to generate much more. The way they think, the way they function, the things that they do, how they invest. Pastor, two people can go to the bank to collect the same money, right? To take a loan. Remember, in the Bible, there are different strategies for those who have needs and gaps. Go borrow, right? Or lifting up the 5 loaves and 2 fishes, of giving thanks for what you already have. That's a strategy to release more. So there are different spiritual strategies, but the key here is 2 people can go into the bank, borrow the same amount of money. One will consume, one will multiply. 5 talents, 2 talents, 1 talent. One will hide, consume 5, 2, 1. Yes. One is conditioned to take it out there. And I like nice things. So I love nice things. My point is, enjoy everything you want to enjoy, but don't eat your seed.
Yeah.
Pastor. Right? As the farmer, right? Everybody's conditioned to eat the seed and consume everything and go back to the system and do some more hours. I'm saying on the other side is thinking like a producer. The producer is the one that lives an extraordinary life. The farmer is the one that lives an extraordinary life, that looks at the seed, buries it, invests it, and tends it, weeds it. Why? So that it multiplies and produces greater. You didn't go to school for that.
No. And in committing to that extraordinary life, you talk about, what do you understand about your nature and tendencies?
Mm-hmm.
Like, naturally, you're gifted to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally, like you gravitate towards something, and whatever you're good at, it's attracted to you as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to be put in the environment, talking
Mm-hmm.
about a farmer seed soil,
Mm-hmm.
soil, the seed, and the surroundings. Can we
Mm-hmm.
say that?
Yes.
The soil, the seed and its
It matters.
surroundings.
Yes, they all matter. Yes, sir.
When you put, see, I can't put a palm tree seed in Tennessee or Chicago.
Yeah, it's dying. It's yeah. The environment is not.
That's it. So you being where you are, if I wanted to bring watermelons to Chicago,
Mm,
but they say, "Oh, Pastor, we have great soil. We've imported soil from all over the world, and we have this great garden, but I'm not sure
mm-hmm,
the surroundings
mm-hmm,
and the people have the patience
mm,
to plant and grow watermelons in Chicago. It's just
mm, mm,
it's possible,
mm-hmm,
but is it doable?
mm. Or
And
is it the right? Mhm,
sometimes, and then we really know it's really not that possible.
mm-hmm,
But some people pursue the impossible,
mm,
thinking the impossible is doable
mm,
because they have not got the power of clarity.
There are principles in the world that we still need to. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
So,
then so when I
mhm.
when I get in my environment and I'm programmed and what impacts me, and you said you like nice things, we like nice
I
things.
love nice things. I love nice. Listen, Pastor. Desire speaks, right? Jeff Bezos wanted his yacht.
And he moved something, didn't he?
He
He
moved the
moved
dream.
something.
Yes.
He
So
literally moved something. Isn't that something? Something that hadn't ever been moved before. He moved it.
yes. So please speak your desire. A cattle on 1,000 hills. They are God, right?
Yes.
Ask of me the nations. I will ask. I love nice things. Please shower me with nice. Pastor, appetite. Remember on Monday you talked about desire,
Yes.
motivated by desire, the lion, right? So even the reward, please speak your reward. Let God knows, hey, God, I want to live an extraordinary life. What does that life entail? Designing it, right? And you talked about some things. I want to give an example, even in my life, so that we can make it practical for those who may be struggling today and trying to, take baby steps in the right direction. So, in terms of conditioning and gifts and taking an inventory of your natural gifts, I'll give an example. So, for me, as example, when my dad passed 7 years ago, I went through this exercise, right? I wrote his mini biography. I did a lot of things, and I realized, oh, like going back to Nigeria, where I'm originally from. I'm an American, Nigerian American, right? Or African American, whatever title, right? Anyway, it reawakened parts of my identity that was lying dormant in the immigrant space. So that's another story for those who are immigrant. Yes, sir. Go, 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 go.
Say that again. It
Ru-
it awakened what?
Parts of my identity was lying dormant in the immigrant mindset, right? Because part of the immigrant struggle is when you come in, you have to rebuild, right? You have to come in and start all over. And a lot of times, part of the struggle is survival. And part of survival is living in reality, not living in destiny.
Wow.
You live in the
Let me chew.
reality.
Let
It's
me
a lot.
chew.
It's a lot. It's a lot. You live in reality of the conditions of the society you just entered. And in a way, destiny is abandoned or put on the back burner because you have to survive. There's no there's no plan B. There's no safety nets. You don't even have the safety nets that those who are here have in terms of government support. You don't have an immigrant doesn't have that luxury of living the life we just talked about. But the key is when my dad passed, even though I was living, I mean, by that time, working for Fortune 1, American Dream, all the promise of the American Dream. I've got it. Management position, Fortune 1, largest company in the world. I was doing right. I was living at that height of the American Dream, but I'm saying something was still missing in my identity. I wasn't living the fullest, highest expression of myself. And my father's passing and going back to the continent after 10 years ignited, awakened, and set that fire ablaze. Okay? It reminded me where I came from. It showed me my source. It's like the lion going back, or the lioness going back to the lion and say, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm living, I'm living beneath. No. And I had to take inventory, because all of a sudden, several things started flashing in my mind. It's like a dream. Who I was, the leader in me. I was the PRO. I was the head girl. All of the part of my identity, my leadership identity. In fact, I said to myself, like, there were so many things I did before that right now was just like, the clockwork of you log in, you log out, you come in, you show up, you show, right? And I started questioning myself, like, is this it? Toyin, is this it? Is this it? Is this the American dream? No, there's a bigger dream than the American dream. Right? So I personally, for example, part of what reignited for me was my natural skills of writing and speaking. I had abandoned the two in pursuit of, right? I developed
You had
technical skills.
abandoned.
Yes, it was an abandoned skill, because in the path that the work I was doing, was very technical. I have a master's, certification SAP, supply chain expert, and those things come to bear. I still use them today. But my path, the path I was on, was 100% pure technical. Nothing wrong with that. It led me to incredible success in corporate America. Fantastic. I'm still using that in building my company. But what I left behind, what I never used, didn't use, abandoned, was the natural God-given capacity that I used when I was young. I used it heavily because I was put in positions of influence and leadership from a very young age. So thank God I remembered. I was given opportunities. I was graced in the corridors of power. I was exposed to royalty. In terms of leaders, I was in the room. I used to go to functions with my late father. They used to call me daddy's wife. All of that movie replayed when my dad passed. And that movie and the reality I was living in, there was conflict. Right? I knew at that time, no, you're not living the highest. No, Toyin, you've got more. 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 I knew at that point, and I had to commit, because when I did my dad's biography, writing the story of one's life, of my dad's life, and how he finished and his impact, made me know, oh, if you continue this path, will you make a difference? Or would you just live the American dream, big house, big car, and nobody cares about that? I'm just using that as an example of living in reality versus living in destiny. And today, right, by going on a new journey, by making new commitments to myself, to my creator, I sit here as a different expression of myself. That's why I can put together this program and say, you too, you can do this for yourself. It's a painful process, so I'm not saying it's easy. Because as you're trying to break out of the systems, the system will be calling you out. The scorecards, the system also keeps tab on you. Your scorecards will be showing up, but that is where you have to deny. If you want to live within the system, you will check all the boxes the system has ready for you. That's really, and I want people to acknowledge that. You have to break a lot of rules and you have to set new rules. Let me stop there and just get your reaction, Pastor.
No. You know what? Not only that's a good place to stop, because you said sometimes the best response is thinking, using your story to bring this conversation to closure was not planned, because watch this, you broke the rules of it being so scripted. You had to be creative, and having that backdrop, it reminded you of a place and a time where you experience thinking and creativity and cultural awareness
And leadership.
and leadership at its best. So you stopped chasing, quote unquote,
The next
success.
promotion. The next promotion.
Yeah, you stopped chasing success.
As it was defined in the system.
Systematic success. Can we call it
Systematic
that?
success is the title, senior director, vice president. If that's what you want, you will get it.
And you started reliving
A life of introducing myself as Toyin Umesiri. And Toyin Umesiri means is enough, is more than enough. When the name is mentioned in certain rooms, it's like, oh, wow. The reason I said, yeah, I'm now living the life of Toyin Umesiri, not one that was, oh, if you want to, we call it career path. If you want this, then do this. Then we'll promote you, then do this. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. So I don't want anybody quoting me. The key, what we are talking about, is unleashing the limitless possibilities of your potential, adopting the mindset of a champion, because that world, you can actually use it to even as a launching pad for the next level. I use it. I have tons of relationships from that world that supports me in my new world. And I will call on those, I will call on them and they will say yes, because I served honorably. So this is not a call for you to abandon. No, it's a call of self-awareness, self-reflection, and commitment, a new commitment to yourself of where are you taking yourself? Do you want to continue for the system? Because now you can use the system. If you are awakened to this thing, now the system is for you to use. It's not using you, you are using it. Because you can then plan and say, okay, I'm going to remain in this system for the next 5 years. But in that next 5 years, I'm going to use this system as a runway to take flight. That is a different mindset. Using the system and what's available to launch yourself into a higher, it's a strategy. So it's not for you to say, oh, the system. No, I'm not saying the system is evil. I'm saying understand the scope of what the system has to offer and what it will never offer. It's not offering you in its current form the highest, fullest expression of your creativity and productivity. If your desire is to unleash that for yourself, you need fresh start strategies. And that's what the game plan is about. Strategies for winning in your life and in your business. Pastor, take us out.
Listen, that's it. I mean, no, that's it. I mean, we almost at our time, and we can end right there, because that's where I just feel somebody needs to not chew anymore, because I've learned physiologically, as my grandmama said, when you bite off more than you can chew, you end up wasting more than you wanted. That's Southern stuff, that's us. So people have to connect with you in the game plan. And thank Kelly. I think he had to run. I thank everybody on LinkedIn who are watching today. People on Facebook. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But when you situate or position yourself for success that is outside the systematic trajectory of success, is going to require clarity. It's going to require a different mindset. Watch this. Then thirdly, and I'm done. It's going to require a different commitment to a different lifestyle.
Yes.
That's extraordinary.
Yes.
So I'm done. I'm good. I'm done.
Yes, yes. And we also have plan to be back here Friday, right? The game plan is available. It's a like a 3-hour masterclass program, plus design your own personal strategy workbook. For each of those strategies, you will design your life, and it's available. Let me put toyinmesiri.com. You can go to my first name, my last name.com for more information and other resources there. And then, Pastor, I have your scroll still available. Please go ahead and tell people where they can find you as well.
Listen, Cornelius Hill, you can find me Cornelius Hill, LinkedIn, of course. My Facebook is where I do a lot of things, my YouTube, then my Twitter. I love it. I love to help bring encouragement as a life coach now, because success, extraordinary life, as a life coach and a like Christian life coach. Therefore, I just use biblical principles. That's what makes it Christian. As a Christian counselor, as a pastor, as a teacher, as a consultant, as a radio host, podcaster.
Yeah.
I just would love you to share with me and I share with you, so we can both share together, so that we can live an extraordinary life.
Right.
So that we can have the mindset of a champion.
Yeah.
And so that we can have the power of clarity.
Right. And incredible, Pastor, as you were also sharing all the great work you're doing, I think that's what creativity looks like, right? Is that when you realize that you're so much more than one dimensional, you realize that there are parts of you that seeks expression in different dimensions. There are different parts of us that seeks to be expressed
in different dimensions.
So, for example, in the faith space, there are different roles I play. In the international trade space, I allow myself. We have to give ourselves permission to be multidimensional, right? Living the highest, fullest expression of yourself. Part of the characteristics is people that are doing it, you find them doing so much unrelated stuff, right? Elon Musk, he will tell us he wants to drill this. Then next he will tell us he wants to build a car. The next thing is building a satellite. Then next is like, guys, stop. No, there's no stopping. Jeff Bezos will tell us he's doing Amazon. Then next is Blue Origin. Then next is this. Is that when you eat that sweet spot, you can't do one thing anymore. It's tough. Because you've given yourself permission to unleash. This is about unleashing everything you carry. Just think about it. 5 talents could be 5 talents in a philosophical way. Talent 1, you can speak. Talent 2, you can teach. Talent this, and you trade it all. The power to trade all your talents, to find places where each of those 5 talents it's like piano, it's music. You find expression, right? As a pastor of a church. Another expression, podcasting. Another expression, teacher, life, right? Counseling. That's the music. That's the reading. That when you eat this sweet spot, nobody can box you in anymore, right? Nobody can tell you a story. You were this and no more. No. In fact, watch out for more. It's always to be continued.
That's right. That's
like,
right.
You never know. Next year, you can see boom. You can see. And I think that's one of the things about those who follow. One moment I'm like this, another one like, no. I'm unleashing everything I've got. That's it. We will empty yourself. Pour it out. Pastor is pouring it out. So when somebody says, is this, I'm saying 5 talents, 5 platforms. Give yourself permission to unleash. Because if you're in that matrix, they will tell you unleashing is chaotic to the people in the circus. Pastor, if the lion unleashes lionwood in the circus, they will tranquilize it.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Pastor, the lion will be shot. Keep quiet. It will be tamed. A tamer version of you is needed in the circus. That's why you get into trouble in your workplace. That's what your boss, why your boss is writing you up. You're showing up too much. Like, we only need a quarter of one talent. Don't bring your raw. Don't bring your power. Don't bring your passion. That is too much. You are sitting in a position that is like this when you are, right? So I love how we are finishing, because I know it's one of the struggles. Oh, I have so many skills, so many talent. The key is you may not be able to put all your 5 talents in one space. The ideal would be 2, but I'm saying that when you become a solution provider, right? And when you've activated something in you to create solutions for man, all of a sudden you are in service of whatever is in need at your service. You're serving God, you're serving God's people. Today, they may need this, they may need inspiration, they may need motivation, they may need teaching, they may need, right, support, financial this. The needs changes every day. We are laborers, end-time laborers for end-time harvest. And part of that is developing transformative skills. Pastor, so you're doing great. Keep it going.
Listen.
More to come. To be continued, people. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time on The Game Plan.
Yes. Bye.